What's going on, kids? This is SO Chris 199. Still reporting to you, living 2 weeks in the great state of New Mexico. Still been somewhat of a, different experience. It's just that it's getting to the point where the romance period is finally falling off, and I'm getting tired of just kind of doing random things throughout the day and kind of just wish I had a job now. So, still, I did get a response from Securitas again, and for the people out there that don't know, I have worked for them twice. The second time, it was actually through a temp agency that was bought by Securitas, so I actually don't think that counts. But that was actually the first security job I ever had, and I had the story on this channel about working for them in one of my first videos. But back in COVID of 2020. But yeah, I think so. I actually saw twice that there is one call center here in the city that I live in, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and apply today. I have a call that I have to make for it's a security company that's actually over in a different state, but it's only about 20 minutes from here. So yeah, I'm going to call them and see if there's a possibility I can get an interview. But basically, I just need a job that's just going to be temporary. So I'm thinking I might just go ahead and go to the call center instead of possibly burning any bridges with any security companies here. Even though I did put in many applications, but it was like what I was saying in the video, I actually haven't released yet. I'm going to release it in a couple days. That the issue here is that people don't really use Indeed, and they don't really use Glassdoor and like Job Monster and like, stuff like that. Craigslist is probably what is used here. I haven't actually gone on there for this new place that I live in, but after living here for it's going to be 2 weeks and 2 days. It actually hasn't really been that bad of an experience. It was really strange, which I've already discussed in the video I'm going to drop in a couple days. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and just take the hit and take the call center job for little pay, just because I ended up passing 3 different tests so far, and there is a good chance that I'm going to start my new position. I just have to pass, I believe, 3 more tests and do maybe another interview or something like that. And then the job is offered to me, and then that's pretty much it. So just for safety reasons, I'm not going to discuss or talk about what the job is, because it has, I do need secrecy when it comes to this kind of work. So anyways, they said the process could take up to 4 months, and it's been like a week and a half. So I basically just need a full-time job that's like a temp job in the meantime while I'm going through this process to start my career. So anyways, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go to the call center, because I'm not going to care about calling out. I'm not, it's at low pay. I just need something to do, basically. So anyways, just start to stack up money again and then go move out and go get an apartment and go sign a 12-month lease somewhere. Me and my wife already have a couple of options for apartments that we're looking at right now. So things are starting to look up. It's just the transition has just been weird. Anyways, it's like I said, I've already discussed it in the other video. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you guys the next story of the time of after I got let go from working at the ER. And because the company that I worked with, and 101, you'll know what I'm talking about, 134 ended up actually going back over there for about 2 months to work with, I think, one of the only 2 guys that actually were able to keep the job when they went in-house, because everybody else got let go. But anyways, So this happened in August and of 2023. So I think, yeah, 2023. This was August. It was either August or September. I don't remember. It may have even been July. I don't exactly remember what the timeline was. It was like somewhere around like the summer, maybe end of summer. So we had the opportunity, me and 101, to leave this job because we ended up all getting let go. The company that we worked for as contractors, the security company, was not able to send us off to the Amtrak system because the position was already filled. And I think there was like maybe one construction site and that was filled. So they basically, while we were in this big meeting, one of the guys that I worked with on the night shift back when I was a security lead, he said that when he called the company we worked for, he said, you guys need to just go all in-house or go look for another job because we have nowhere to put you. So, you know, super discouraging. So, anyways. So that was great. So I lost all the money I was making. Lost my Monday through Friday schedule. I actually really liked working for that ER a lot, so pretty much lost everything. But the thing is that when you lose everything in life multiple times, it kind of just stops being shocking. I've literally been on the verge of homelessness in life, like ever since I graduated high school in 2006. I've been on that verge, like tiptoeing on that line probably about 7 or 8 times. When you live in the Southwest and you live in areas where there just isn't that much work, and you kind of have to live on your parents' money, like to survive, so you're not going to end up living in your car. It's one of those things where it's like, it is what it is. I ended up moving like far away. Then I got married. And so I was able to like rely on my wife for a time of like, okay, well, she's going to pay all the bills for this month, but then I'm going to pick it up and pay her back the next month, or try to pay her back. And then, you know, because it's supposed to be an even flow of economics when, you know, that's like, it's a lot of the reason why a man gets married. Okay. Because inevitably you're going to get sick. Like you're going to get like really ill from like a flu or something. You might accidentally like break a bone or sprain something. You might get in a car accident. Like things could happen in life to where you can't go to work. And let's just say with your job, you don't have sick time and you don't have, or you don't have like money in savings for whatever the reason, because you had to make a huge car payment. You had to make a huge medical payment. Like I've been in those situations many, many times. So your wife is the one who, you know, hopefully she's working full time, that she can help provide that assistance. So then when she's in a bad situation, if she gets fired from her job, or same thing, if like you go to work and then you find out she ended up getting sideswiped in a car accident or something like that, and now you gotta, you know, insurance won't cover it or whatever, then the husband's there to help pay for that, to pay for the repair. So it's like you both are holding onto the same cord kind of thing. So financially, for the most part, you should be okay. So anyways, that's not what happened with this job. I just got let go. Like I think altogether there was like 12 of us. I think 10 of us got let go and 2 got to stay, but then then the other 2 ended up getting fired like soon after that. So anyways, yeah, it's just shady. In the Southwest in Arizona, it's a shady business. But when it comes to a lot of these like independent security companies that you work as like a contractor, a lot of it is like really shady. So I've already discussed that in previous videos. But okay, anyways, so we became BHTs, and he had prior experience, I didn't. I worked with them for maybe about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years at that point. About 2 years at that point, I've been working with BHTs. The BHT is a behavioral health technician. So the tech is who works 12 hours a day with mental patients or with the patients inside the ER. So because there was such a lack of male techs, I was able to squeeze through and actually get the job. Because with a tech job, it is preferred that you have an associate's in basically caring for patients. I don't know exactly what, but it's implied that you should have an associate's in something and then have some experience. I think they said something like they were looking for like at least 2 years experience. So I put down as experience my time as being a security officer when that doesn't really comply. It doesn't really connect, but they hired me. So I worked for a hospital, and I'm going to tell you guys, I lasted a month and a half because I thought, well, you know what? I've been security for 3 years. Maybe it's just time to try something else, because at this job, they were actually paying me $1 more than what I was making as a lead. So, and they said, once you pass your 3 months probation, we're actually going to give you like another $1 raise. And then we're going to put you in intake, and then you're going to get a $2 raise after that. Like, they just kept throwing money at me. And I'm going to tell you guys why. So, the thing is that there's pros and there's cons. Sorry, it's just, I'm next to a tree right now, and I don't know if like it's in bloom or something, but my allergies are like starting to act up right now. Okay, I see a bunch of plants in bloom right there. Okay, anyways, because I feel like I'm going to sneeze. So anyways, all right, so what happened was, me and 101 went to this job. The pros and cons of working at a ghetto hospital, a recovery hospital that's both psychiatric and detox, which is pretty much all in Arizona. That's pretty much like everything when it comes to those kind of jobs. When you go to work at a behavioral health hospital, it's pretty much the same two kind of patients. And so with this one, it was pretty much the same thing, except the rules were a lot more strict with going hands-on. So we had the CPI, we had SAMA training, but like where they wanted us to do it like Steven Seagal's Aikido, like on the patients. Like, okay, that's going to work. But anyways, the pros and cons of working at a ghetto hospital is that, one, you can get a job really quick. They pretty much hire anybody off the street. Same thing with security, because it's a job no one wants to do. So, and the rules are usually a lot more relaxed, depending on where you're at. But usually that's what I've noticed. The con is that the job is very, very difficult. It is taxing. It's draining. It's implied that they don't want you to, they don't want you to have breaks. They don't want you to have lunches. They will, if people are still coming in, that's the expectation for you, is that, well, you still got to stand there and work with them. There was no break rooms. I mean, there was a lunch room where, they had a chow hall, but it was kind of implied that that was for the patients. It wasn't for the staff. You could use it, but I mean, they gave me, God, I forgot what it was. I think it was like for $5, they gave you like $3 or $7. They gave you 3 lunch vouchers or something like that. And you could eat the same food the patients were eating. So that's what I did. But it was kind of implied that it was just for it wasn't for the staff. This job sucked. It sucked badly. I lasted 6 weeks until I snapped and walked out. So I said, I'm never going to do this job ever again. I don't care who throws what amount of money at me. I'm never being a BHT ever again. That job is the worst. Dude, if you don't have a heart to do it, you are not going to last. And the turnover rate is like just as high as back when I was an anesthesia technician. Like, the turnover rate is literally like, I think it's 8 out of every 10 people that apply quit, or quit the whole industry and just go do something else, like a different career option. So first day I went in, when I did the interview, it actually went really well. And I was told behind the scenes, look, we know you don't have an associate's, but they said, hey, Chris, you're a big guy. We need males because It's just, even though it's good for morale, it's not good during codes when we just hire primarily female techs. It's not good. Just because when code grays, or they called it code 10s over there, when things pop off, and like when one of the big guys who's like a patient there detoxing freaks out and starts, punching the wall and trying to like rip the TV and like throw it at other patients, stuff like that, or gets, just gets in fist fights and things like that. It's very difficult to control the situation, and we have to call PD. Like someone was telling me this behind the scenes. Oh, we got to call PD and, whatever. It's really good that you're here because you can help like calm them down. And they didn't know that, well, how I calm them down is going hands-on. They didn't know that, but they should have, because the same CEO of this hospital was the CEO of the previous job I was at when I was a security officer. Like, you should have like known better, kind of thing. Like, that's how I handle situations. I don't do the verbal de-escalation. I don't do that. I mean, I do that as security, but not as a tech. And that's all I ended up doing. It was mad annoying. So, excuse me. Like, the training was terrible. I got seldom any support. Only one of them that I actually worked at the previous psychiatric hospital, who ended up being my trainer, and thank God she was, because she actually did a great job. I could trust her. The other people on the floor, including the nurses, the nursing staff, only one of them, I remember she was covering tattoos and had blonde hair. She was really good. Like, I really liked her. Same thing. I worked with her at the previous job. Everybody else was really rude. They were short. One of them, I don't know if she was like from Nigeria or something. So I was down. They put me down on my last week that I was there before I snapped in the all males unit, which was so there's the battered women's unit, which was mostly what they put me on, because it was what's that called, a coax unit, where it was one side batters women and then the other side was just multi-sex or a unisex detox. So one time they put me on the bottom floor, which was all 24 of them were males with bad paperwork. So detox, but a lot of them had like arrests for like, fights, fighting police, like just stuff like that. And so they put me by myself. This was actually the last day I was there with all 24 patients. And they put me by myself, only tech on the floor. And so when I tried to ask a question, one of the nurses turned around, she snapped at me. And because they were doing their breakdown for, because I just came into work, but it was like an hour later when the nurses came in, and I tried to ask a question because I didn't know anyone down there and I was by myself, and she snapped at me saying, I don't have to tell you what. She said, you're a tech. I don't have to tell you anything. And then she turned around and just kept talking to the other nurses and staff. And then I kind of just like, I didn't say anything. I was like, all right. And then turned around and just started walking the halls. So my feet were killing me by the time like every day I was done. So here's the thing. I worked from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. What were my days? I think it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then it was every other Wednesday or something like that, where I worked 6 or an 8, something like that. So I was always on overtime. And my feet, it was to the point where probably the first 2 weeks I was there, every time I came home from work, I remember I was watching like this special with Oscar De La Hoya on it. And when me and my wife were sitting on the couch in the living room, I had to take this big like white box fan and I had to turn it on and put it on my feet like every time I came home from work, because you're not really allowed to sit down. Like I said, it's discouraged for you to take your lunch and for you to take your breaks and go out to your car and do whatever. I was always like, oh, where's Chris at? Where's he at? Like, hey, where'd you go? Like, did you go on break? Even though I would tell them, hey, I'm going on my lunch break. That happened multiple times. And so you were not allowed to just go hang out in like a break room. You had to be around the patients all 12 hours. You had to be around them. And it got to the point where I started getting pissed off, because when everybody's on detox, it's safe to assume if you're thinking about becoming a BHT, you're going to get cussed out a lot. And when I was a security officer, I didn't like take any of that shit. So the minute someone started cussing and pointing at me and posturing, I look at the nurse like, okay, are we going to grab him? Are we going to grab her? So what are we doing? Because I don't tolerate that kind of stuff. So anyways, but at this job, I was forced to. And I'll tell you guys why I quit. So we're talking about you have to do the vitals. This is just a normal day. You get there, you have to fill out paperwork, you have to go through the patient's files to see who's the new patients as a part of the, breakdown for when you're relieving the night staff, which is what I should have done. I should have just took the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I probably would have lasted a lot longer at that job because everyone's asleep. It's like it's a super easy job. So I should have just done that for like 3 months and then went to days and kept bouncing. I should have done that. I don't know. It's like a toss-up. Either way. But, so, wake up, do the vitals. Sometimes I got to go downstairs, but just to say hi to 101. They were about to book me to go work with him, and then everything got switched around because I quit, because I got really angry after a code gray. So what happened is that you get up and you have to do everybody's vitals, and then you have to ask everyone if they've, I forgot, like if they went to the bathroom, if they took their shower. Like basically you're just getting everybody on a daily routine to where you're trying to simulate this in their heads to, sorry, I was going to sneeze. Sorry. Yeah, okay, the allergies are starting. Okay, anyways, so what happened is that you're trying to simulate these people, like what it's like to live in the real world when you're supposed to go get a job, like 9 to 5, even though that doesn't like exist, but you're just supposed, when you get a job, like you're supposed to do these things. You're supposed to get up. You're supposed to have a bowel movement. You're supposed to take a shower. You're supposed to, drink water right when you get up. You're supposed to, next you're supposed to cook breakfast. You're supposed to have a healthy breakfast. So all these things were always in a line as to how your day is supposed to like unfold. You're supposed to take your medication like right after, because that was a thing where they had the med window and then the doctor would come in. But like, dude, the doctor there, you could just tell. One time, okay, this is funny. One time, okay, so the psychiatrist would come in every single day at like 8:30 or 9, something like that. And so after everyone would get their medications at the med window by the nurse, they would have to go see the psychiatrist that was down the hall next to one of the patient rooms. And so he was one of those guys where you could tell he was just collecting his paycheck. He did such a bad job. Like, one time, okay, so there was this guy in there. He's like a cholo guy, and he was actually really nice. He was a cool guy. He just couldn't stop being a drug addict, but I mean, it wasn't violent or anything. He just, he would go and sleep under a bridge, go beg for money, and then he would do that until he would, want to stop, and then he would just go to the hospital where I worked at and, do the whole, I have suicidal ideation thing, and I have a plan, and what, just saying what he needed to say to get a free room, the 3 meals, what is that, 3 hots and a cot, I think that was the joke. And then he would stay there for a month, and then they kick him out, and then he just go back on the street for a month. Just kept repeating this. Like, most of these patients were there 12, 13 times. So, the most I saw was 12. But, anyways, so this guy, I walked past the room where the psychiatrist is talking to him. And so I hear him like weeping inside the door's closed, like it's locked. And I hear the guy, cause there's like a chair next to the desk, and I hear the guy weeping, and, and the guy he's not yet, he's like almost yet, he's like whispering, but it's loud. And he's yelling, "Why aren't you helping me, God? Why, God?" Once he's saying stuff like that, but you can hear him crying like in the room. And then, like clockwork, just like it was just like another thing the guy had to deal with. I just heard the psychiatrist like, okay, we're going to put you on this medicine. And then this one, instead of 30, we're going to put you on the 20. And instead of this one for the 20, we're going to put you on the 30. And he's like, okay, you can leave now. Goodbye. And then that guy came out of the room, and you could tell, like, it was just like, he was like, you could tell he was like profusely crying. Like, they just did not care at this hospital. I mean, I heard that they're actually getting sued by 2 different people, 2 different patients right now, which is like good, dude. I hope that place burns down. But like, the people there, like, most of the people that work there were like complete scumbags, and they've screwed over people that I know personally. And let's just pray this place does not stay open and justice is served. I'll just put it like that. So anyways, I'll tell you guys, okay, so I'm running out of time. I'll tell you guys why I quit. So there was this patient that came in who put himself in a permanent schizophrenic episode. And so he was actually fine the first day he was there. He went to group, and he went to, the finger painting, like activity therapy. He did all that stuff. But the next day, they put me as his one-to-one when I tried to tell the staff I've never done this before. I've seen one-to-ones, but I've never done it. And this was only like the second time I ever did this. And the first time, when they put me on one of the wards where the people were about to get out within 30 days or something like that, I was a one-to-one in there, but the guy was just sleeping the entire time, the whole like 12 hours. So I didn't learn anything. I didn't do anything. I literally just sat there, would look at him, have the tablet. Okay, he's sleeping, and then just click some buttons. Like that's all I did. But with this guy, he drank vodka, half not a gallon, but like, one of those large ones. He drank half of a large thing, like half gallon of vodka every single day for 2 weeks straight. And he scrambled his brain permanently. A lot of people don't know that if you take like LSD and like whatever, or if you drink liquor that much, you will make yourself schizophrenic. Like, it will happen to you. So anyways, I ended up going hands-on with him because he kept calling me his matey, and he was the captain, and the hospital was the ship, the ward was his ship. And he kept saying, we need to crawl through the walls to find my cell phone. And I kept telling him, how about we do that inside your room? Like, I was super polite and nice. And then he grabs my wrist. And then I said, I was still trying to, I was not trying to break character. I was telling him, hey, let's go ahead and not do that. Like, I'm sorry, but like, please don't do that. Like, I kept saying things like that, and he did it again. And then the security officer came out at me, and I threatened him, like, quietly. Basically, I told him, he grabbed me. I grabbed his wrist when I pulled away, and I said, do not touch me. And I got like buck with him. I said, do not touch me. And then the whole me being polite, that went out the window. And then so he kept doing it. He went to assault the other tech that I was working with in the ward, but he tried to kick him, and he missed, and he fell over. He gets up, and then I see him as he's shaking. He cocks back and tries to throw a haymaker at my partner, a female, at the woman who was training me. I grabbed him, because it was really slow, like anyone could have stopped it. I grabbed him with both arms, and the whole SAMA training went out the window. I grabbed him, and I threw him against the door. He hits the door, and he falls over. He gets up and keeps telling me I'm a hot shot or something like that. And I asked him politely, just sit down in the chair. But I'm already like in the mode, because they called the code and no one was going hands-on. It's one of those places. So anyways, we square up, and then I got blamed for it. Even though they saw on the camera footage that I stopped an attack from him. If I didn't stop him, he would have knocked out my partner. It should have just been, okay, let's drag him to the seclusion room and start hitting him with the shots. Like, why are we not doing this? So they blame me. I got yelled at. I got talked to. And he just went off scot-free. And then I found out one of the reasons why the staff is treated so badly is because, the hospital can get in trouble with the state because of the amount of codes that they have. But if there's no codes, and or if there's a very low amount of them, then they can forego like the survey. And when the survey comes in, it looks good to the government that comes in when they do their investigations. So, but that's really, really bad for the staff because that means the lunatics run the asylum kind of thing. And when you're in that kind of environment, you really don't want that. So anyways, that's what happened. Then they put me in the all males unit for 3 shifts in a row. And I said, you know what? And I went up to the lead over the supervisors she would just hide in her office all day, every day. And I told her, yeah, you know what? I'm feeling sick. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And then I told my wife, yeah, you know what? I I'm going to go back to security. I don't care if they're going to throw all this money at me. The job was garbage. So anyways, that was what it was like being a tech. And I will, like I said, I will never do it again. There was actually a lot more that happened in that 6-week period. But yeah, there was a lot of ups, mostly downs. Hope the place burns down. Don't care. So anyways, this is SL Chris 199. For next week's video, for the story, I'll tell you guys about when I went back to security and when I became a rover on the graveyard shift because I couldn't find another job that was during the day. So anyways, gave it to you raw, hardcore. This is unfiltered, and I gave it to you exactly what happened. So, all right.